Hi guys, what have I been saying for so long? Nigel Farage is the tail wagging the British political dog. Because Reform UK is obsessed with immigration, the media is obsessed with immigration. So what do you think was the top story of discussion on the Trevor Phillips show on Sunday? Well, small boats, of course. Here the journalist grilled a government minister using Reform UK and Tory anti-immigration talking points. The media is truly in the toilet. Have a listen to this.
John Healey, a year ago, your leader promised to smash the gangs that were shipping illegal immigrants across the Channel. It's reported that...
They're not illegal immigrants. They're asylum seekers. So let's continue.
Hundreds of people crossed yesterday, more than in recent times. What went wrong?
Pretty shocking, those scenes yesterday. Truth is, Britain's lost control of its borders over the last 5 years. And the last government last year left an asylum system in chaos and record levels of immigration. I think yesterday tells us a really big problem, which is you've got French police unable to intervene and intercept the boats when they're in shallow waters. That means we saw it. We saw the smugglers launching elsewhere and coming round like a taxi to pick them up. Now, one of the steps, and this is a complex problem, but one of the steps we've now got is the cooperation, new cooperation with the French and an agreement. They'll change the rules so the police can intervene in the water as well as on the shore, and that will help to make a difference to what we saw yesterday.
As you say, the Home Secretary said she's got this new plan, but it's not biting, is it? Because we saw yesterday French police standing by, and if you look at the...
Okay, French police standing by. The French police do not want to intervene and risk the lives of their officers, and they do not want to risk the lives of the asylum seekers, the people who are getting into the small boats. So in many cases, they will stand by because they don't want to risk the lives of themselves or the others. But I keep coming back to this point that's never raised, unfortunately, in the media. The people don't want to stay in France. They want to get to Britain. So even if the French were to damage the dinghies or hold people or take them back to the shore, even if they do that, what's going to happen? The very next day, the next time there's a dinghy, they'll jump in that one and they'll go to the English coast. That's what they want to do. Like, what's the point in focusing on this point of, well, the French need to hold these people back? But if the people don't want to stay in France and they're determined, they're paying thousands of euros to cross the channel and they're waiting for the next dinghy to arrive, what is the point in complaining about the French?
The numbers, the proportion of people intercepted by the French police has actually declined over the last couple of years. 2 years ago, it's 47%. Last year, it's 45%. This year, 38%. That's on your watch. We're not getting much return for 480 million quid, are we?
Well, you're right. It's not a new problem. I remember Chris Philp, who's now Shadow Home Secretary and was the Immigration Minister 5 years ago, writing that this was a problem, saying it would change. Nothing's changed except the problem's got worse. What has now changed, because of the work that Yvette Cooper has done...
Okay, so why are the numbers rising? Well, the numbers are rising because so many people have to use this route in order to get into Britain, because the Tories, with their anti-immigration policy, made it more difficult for people to access a visa. The Labour government are following through on that. So if it's more difficult for people to access the legal route, of course they're going to rely on an alternative. And the only other alternative at the moment is crossing the channel in a small boat. Look, I'm being honest here. Not everyone in an asylum, one of these small boats, the dinghies, is an asylum seeker. Many of them are economic migrants, but they're economic migrants because they can't get into Britain via the other route, the visa route. So they're going this way. So that's why you're going to see more and more numbers, more and more people crossing the channel by small boat.
Is we have that agreement from the French to cooperate, to change the rules so that the French can now, and this is what we want them to put into operation, so they can intervene in the water, not just on the shore.
But once again, they're not going to intervene if it risks the lives of the officers or it risks the lives of the asylum seekers.
Why is they're not doing it? Are you a bit hacked off? I know this may not be a diplomatic thing for you to say. Are you a bit hacked off with the French, that they basically...
Like, see, once again, this is the Reform UK talking point, or the Conservative Party talking point. We need to be angry with the French. The French aren't doing their job. The French are lazy. The French should be stopping these boats. But once again, the people don't want to stay in France, and the French police and authorities don't want to risk lives. So what do you want them to do? Do you want them to risk the lives of their officers and the asylum seekers by damaging the boats or trying to pull people back? And do you want to actually create an alternative so there is no need to cross the channel? That would be by creating a safe route.
Still aren't doing the job despite the money, despite the agreement. They're still not doing it.
No, they're not doing it, but for the first time, 4 years, for the first time, we've got the level of cooperation needed. We've got the agreement that they will change the way they work. And our concentration now is to push them to get that into operation so they can intercept these smugglers and stop these people in the boats, not just on the shore. And that'll be part of, I hope, dealing with this absolutely intolerable problem and a level of small boat crossings.
It's intolerable, but we don't want to do anything about it. We don't want to create a safe route so that people don't need to use these boats.
All right, look, let's talk about your specific...
Okay. The media should be asking the proper questions. The proper questions like, why are people using these routes? Why are people not coming in via visas? Because we closed off the visa system, or we've made it more difficult. Why are people why are people leaving France in the first place? Why are they coming to Britain? Because they have connections to Britain. They speak the language, or they have family, or they may have a job lined up for them. That's why they're coming to Britain. Why is the media not asking these questions? Instead, they're asking, why aren't the French doing more? Why aren't the French pulling people out of the sea and throwing them in jail or something in France? These are the types of questions that the media are pushing. And who benefits from these types of questions? Reform UK and Nigel Farage. Like, the very first topic of discussion was immigration, was the small boats. This needs to stop. I keep saying this. The only people who benefit from this discussion is Reform UK. The Tories don't benefit, the Labour government don't benefit, and the general public don't benefit. Because immigration is not a priority for the vast majority of people. The priority being the cost of living crisis, the NHS. But I don't even think these were covered during the discussion on Sky News. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think about all of this. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.